Hey there, Lee Company. In honor of our 80th anniversary, we thought it would be fun to go back in time and talk to some of our folks about how things used to be. So here today, we're with Richard Jefferson. Tell us about when you first came to work from Lee Company, what that process was like.
So I happened to run into my first cousin that Friday night at a ballpark and was telling him, you know, I may be looking for work. And he said, well, come with me Monday morning. I work at a place called Lee Company. It's an air conditioning company. It was Lee Refrigeration then. And he said, you know, it's a good place to work. Come with me and just see what you think. So I did. I followed him to work. It was on Wilhagen Road. And I met with a gentleman by the name of Don Lytle. Don said, okay, here's what we're going to pay you an hour. And when can you start? And I said, well, I wanted to take off for a couple of days, get things in order, and then start work. And he said, no, that won't work. You need to start today.
It was a pretty unique experience. So I come in to interview with Wade Kellum, and I'd heard about the job through a friend. He said they're taking applications at Lee Company, and I always thought, well, I'm not good enough to work there, but I was going to go just to see what they had to say. Wade come out and he got me, and he took me in this little room, and it had paneling on it and this green shag carpet. So Wade sit down and he asked me a few questions about, you know, what I knew about the industry and things like that. And I wasn't even an HVAC technician at the time. I worked on refrigeration. He said, well, when can you start to work? I said, well, I can start today if you want me to. He said, that'd be great. He proceeded to go gather up a few things, which was a ticket book, which we used to use ticket books, fill out hand tickets at the time. And we sit in the room and he says, well, he looked out a little window there and he said, well, you see that van sitting over in the lot? I said, yes, sir. He said, that's your van. He stopped. He said, oh, wait a minute. Can you drive a standard shift? I said, yes, sir. No power steering, no power brakes, no air conditioning. My interior was blue, I remember that, but my passenger seat was green. And what I learned later on after working there was our fleet manager, he would order the van, especially with no air conditioning, no power steering, no power brakes, no radio, and he would take a seat out of an older van that he'd taken off the road and put it in the passenger side. He would order with no passenger seat in it. He's like, well, that's your van, here's where I need you to go. And when you get done, you call this number. You know, I walked out and I thought, wow, I'm actually working for Lee Company now. But once I got the hang of things, I was instructed how to use a truck radio. All our trucks were equipped with a radio that we could communicate from truck to truck or from truck to dispatch. And you had a call sign, and that call sign was KJM 826, and I was Unit 10.
We didn't have computers at that point, and we had a big metal board. Across the top were the technicians' names. When we got a service call, we wrote it down on a card, and then we put it in the slot depending on which technician was going to, you know, best fit that particular service call.
It's totally a different time, you know, and it was years and years before we got pagers, and then a long time after that before we even got phones. We did get a phone later on for the person on call. Got to carry that on-call phone, and it was one of those big brick phones.
We had to take the phone home with us, and it was in a case, and you carried this big bulky phone thing with you. And that's how we got our phone calls from our customers.
And you had to carry that phone with you everywhere you went?
Everywhere you went, everywhere you went. And really, you just didn't go anywhere. When you went home, you just stayed there. That was the safest thing to do. So.
Well, in 2001, when I was hired on, believe it or not, technicians were carrying around pagers and rolls of quarters. In order to communicate back to the office, they would have to stop, find a payphone, call back into the office to get their next call from the call center.
A lot of memories in that. Yeah.